Today, I want to break down with you Amazon's updated stolen goods policy. I want to explore real seller experiences and identify those red flags, give you actionable steps that you could take to protect yourself in not buying stolen goods. Okay, so Amazon's just dropped a major policy update. Effective June 2025, this new policy is all about cracking down on stolen or illegally obtained products. Now, while the actual rules haven't actually changed massively, what's changed is how clear and how harsh Amazon is being about the consequences. And here is what they're saying can happen if you are caught selling questionable goods, which is basically implying they're going to say they're going to do instant removal of your listings and suspension of your account and freezing all of outstanding funds that you currently have. Not only that, they can also seize and potentially destruction of all your inventory at your expense and even possible legal action as well. It's not just Amazon flexing, it's actually being driven by an increase in regulatory pressure, especially from laws like California's SB 1144 and the Federal Informed Consumer Act. Now, these laws require marketplaces like Amazon to take much stronger action against the sale of stolen goods. The stakes are now much higher for Amazon and so therefore they're for you. Okay, so let's look at the actual experiences from sellers who unknowingly bought stolen goods. So I'll share some things with you, whether they did or not, we're not here to say. What we are here to say is what actually happened. One seller said suspended overnight. After building their business and generating over $2 million in monthly revenue, they were suddenly suspended. Amazon froze $1.5 million worth of inventory and funds based on an accusation that he was unknowingly sold stolen goods. Now, another seller diligently provided invoices, bank statements, and supplier details to prove innocence, yet Amazon determined the supplier was unverifiable and permanently suspended their account. This is with holding tens of thousands of dollars in funds. Another seller we've seen here, inventory seized and destroyed. A seller faced losing $600,000 worth of Nest thermostats after Amazon questioned their authenticity. They were unable to provide full chain of custody documentation, and we'll talk about what that means in a minute, and Amazon slated the entire inventory for destruction. These examples aren't isolated. Many sellers have reported withholding payments, even funds unrelated to suspected inventory, and sometimes permanently. In short, Amazon's new policy means a single misstep in sourcing could instantly wipe out everything you worked for. How do honest sellers end up with these nightmare scenarios? The key thing you're looking for are the red flags. So let's talk through some of them so hopefully you can spot them when they happen. Number one, buying from unverified suppliers. Now, if your supplier can't clearly document the origins of their inventory or hesitant to share details, then I would say you're potentially at risk. Just watch that. That's something you want to be careful of. Now, number two, too good to be true pricing. Significant discounts on maybe high demand items, maybe incredible margin and ROI, probably indicate something is a little bit sketchy. Now, what we see and we have seen in the past is criminal gangs, criminal rings are commonly selling stock cheaply to move them on quickly. To who? You guys, Amazon sellers. Just be careful. It's got to be mindful of that. Number three, retail and online arbitrage problems. Amazon can reject any invoice, but what we have seen is that Amazon might reject retail online arbitrage receipts more often than not. And now, especially from lesser known stores for, sellers who are doing the arbitrage business model. However, what I will say is that many sellers have reported that supplies or receipts from large, nationally recognized big box stores, think about the Walmarts, the Targets, the Home Depot, these are often accepted without further questions. Now, the greater risk for you as sellers comes when you purchase from smaller, unfamiliar suppliers. And in those cases, Amazon may demand to see not only your invoices, but also your suppliers' invoices, and ultimately asking to see all the invoices straight back to the manufacturer because they want traceability. Bottom line, big box retail stores may pass. Anything outside well-known supply chains, got to be careful of. Next one, products with traceable serial numbers. Now, this is probably one of the most common ways I've heard of unknowingly getting trapped. Brands frequently perform test buys and record every unit serial number or lot number. Now, when that serial number matches a reported stolen product, maybe a truck or from a warehouse, for example, then they can issue a claim against you as a seller, triggering immediate Section 3 from Amazon to your account. Now, top tip here, if a deal feels too good to be true, you might want to request a sample of the serial numbers of the products you're going to be buying from that supplier, and then obviously try and verify them with the manufacturer or brand. Now, not every brand is going to respond, but the mere act of requesting serial numbers and saying what you're going to do could help weed out potentially shady suppliers. So really, really good. Now, the next one, unresponsive or uncooperative suppliers. When Amazon comes knocking, asking for supplier invoices, this could be very hard to get if you have not had that conversation before you made the purchase. So when looking at your suppliers, when trying to verify them, ask the question. Now, I will be honest, most of the time they're probably going to say no. What you can do though, is you can say, hey, I will contact the brand and I'll ask them if they know about you as a supplier. This can basically mean that if the brand knows about a supplier, you're probably going to be fine. But if the brand doesn't know who the supplier you're about to buy this stock is, then I would probably say it's a bit of a red flag. And I would go back to the supplier and ask them why the brand doesn't know. It might be that they bought from a distributor or something else, but at least you should be able to trace who they're buying from. And each of those people they mention, they can then agree that that person is buying. This is going to give you more confidence that the products you're buying are legit. It might not be perfect, but more likely going to decrease the chances of you buying stolen goods. Now, what I will say is if you don't follow these steps, you'll probably be fine, but you only need to be wrong once. And if you get it wrong once and Amazon shuts down your account, not only do you lose the account, you lose the stock you purchased and everything else in your account and the money as well. So just be careful. It's probably worth doing these things anyway. Now that we've talked about what the problems are, how can you protect yourself? Now, one of the top things you can try and find is maybe a letter of authority, LOA as it's called, from the brand that's going to say that you have bought products which are legitimate from the brand, maybe the photo evidence and all the paperwork as well. This is going to give you the best protection, not guaranteed, because unfortunately we're dealing with Amazon, but just be aware. But let's be honest, unless you buy directly from the brand, securing that level of paperwork is going to be really next to impossible. Now, most Amazon sellers rely on distributors or even retail channels, and this means you need to be a bit more pragmatic about safeguards that minimize the chance of the risk happening. Now, you can never eliminate it, but you're trying to reduce it. Now, before we talked about LOA, sourcing from the brand direct, that's great. But what you might think about is sourcing from authorized channels. What do we mean by that? We actually mean speaking to the brand, asking who are their official distributors or authorized wholesalers, and then buying from them. At a fundamental level, if the brand has said these are the people to buy from, you know they're going to be legit because they're the main players who buy from the brand direct. If you've already found a supplier and you didn't go through the brand direct route, i.e. asking the brand who the suppliers are, you might want to think about how you found them. Now, for example, if you did ask the brand, fantastic, you're probably pretty confident. But maybe if you found this person on a Telegram channel offering you a great deal, I would probably have my suspicions and probably want to walk away from that. That is a big red flag. But if you do think that they could be legit, then do again speak to the brand. And if the brand say, hey, this Telegram seller is legit, okay, fine. But most of the time, the Telegram seller will say, we don't have authorization from the brand to sell. Be careful with that. Whenever I find suppliers, I also try and do my due diligence on them. What do I mean by that? I'm trying to find out, first of all, how long have they been in business? I will probably look at external sources, not the company website. For example, if the company website said they've been in business for 40 years, it could be that they were made yesterday. Anyone can write 40 years. But what I will do is I will look at things such as who is. Now, if they've got a website, I can type in their website domain into who.is, and I can see how long that domain has been around. For example, if I type in FastTrackFBA.com, you can see that my domain was actually created in 2017. So we've been around at least since that time. Now, another one I might do is checking out Google Maps. I'll probably go into Street View. Can I see their warehouse? Can I see their name on the warehouse? Can I go back to previous versions of Google Maps and see if it's still been there? If I can, I'm a lot more confident. If I can't, I'm probably going to be, 40 years and they still haven't got their name up on their warehouse. Sounds fishy to me. Now, another check you can do is when you physically get the products, ensure that they actually match the invoices perfectly. We should all be doing that anyway. But not only that, maybe go speak to the brand, ask them to verify serial numbers, batch numbers, just see if the brand's got any problems. If they haven't, then you should be okay, but no guarantee. Brands have been known to find out problems later on. But just go through all your documentation, make sure everything is legit, and check it with the brand directly. Very, very important. Now, one of the big things I will say is that while we're talking about trying to do due diligence behind this, sometimes you might be doing everything perfect and get caught in the crossfire. So what do I mean? Having someone on your side to support you in cases like this can be really important. In my own business, we use a service called Seller Basics. At a fundamental level, they are a group of lawyers who work directly with Amazon sellers and Amazon themselves to help overcome account-related health issues. Even things like this, Section 3, suspended accounts. Now, if you're going to address them when you are suspended, it can cost anywhere from like $2,500 upwards. It can get very, very expensive. But you can actually subscribe to them for just $100 a month, which is really cheap. And if you get any problems, you are now covered. Think of it as insurance. But we have used this service for a number of years now, and every time we get an IP complaint, any account health warnings, or even just those pesky letters from brands telling us to not sell on their listings, then we can drop them a quick message and they will reply back to us and give us advice. And we know that if we get Section 3 or even caught up in the crossfire, such as things such as this, where maybe we get caught or not caught, but suspected of selling counterfeit goods or something like that, they will support us in providing all the invoices. Now, obviously, they're not going to be able to get you off the hook if you did actually buy stolen goods, but if you get caught in the crossfire and you're legit, they're going to just really work to make sure that everything you submit to Amazon is going to be in the right way, and you are more likely to get that pass through to Amazon, and so therefore get your account back and get spending. For $100 a month is nothing. I'll drop a link in the description down below. Now, the final thing I will say, and I'm not actually a big fan of it, but you can, is diversifying out of Amazon. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Now, this is good because obviously if you've got all your business in Amazon and Amazon suspends you, you now haven't got a business. And if you're across eBay, Walmart, for example, and Amazon, that could be very beneficial. But the one reason why I don't like this is because actually what you find is a lot of people try and do 1, 2, or 3 different marketplaces or different accounts. And as a result, they just don't even grow. They just get so caught up in administration, it's not worth it. So fundamental level, even for myself doing over 1.5 million a year, I still think just focus on Amazon. Maybe when you get to 5, it's up to you. I just think focusing on one thing is a great thing to do. So I've told you about Amazon's updated stolen goods policy. Now, hopefully you understand just how important it is to stay on top of your business, buying from legit suppliers. Now, one simple mistake can cause you to lose not only your Amazon selling account, but also all your inventory and your cash. Now, the one thing I would say this is knowing how to vet your suppliers is absolutely crucial. And that is why I want to share a video with you right now that walks you through how to spot fake suppliers. I literally do it live on this video, and I'll share it around here, and I'll talk about the exact steps that we do in our business to check and vet suppliers. So check out that video right now. Now, if you found this video helpful, make sure you give me the thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you want to be notified when we release more videos. Other than that, thank you very much, and I'll catch you in the next video.